Joining me now via Skype from Boston is Max Abrahms. He's an assistant professor of political science at Northeastern University. Max, let's begin with the social media aspect of this. You know, we've seen it over the years to recruit followers, also as an investigative tool to learn more about the suspect or suspects. What do you make, though, of this live streaming aspect of this particular terror attack?
Well, this was a terrorist who was very much concerned with public perception. He was very public-faced, if you will. So not only did he record his attack in real time and post it over social media, but he also took the time to write a manifesto. So this was a guy who was very cognizant that his violence would attract interest and that it would draw people in to him. And I think that that was the point.
Is social media now an integral part of modern terrorism? We know that Facebook, Twitter, these companies are taking down videos. But what role do tech companies play in preventing or inspiring these attacks and future attacks?
Well, terrorism, by definition, is intended to terrorize. And the media plays a crucial role in broadcasting this terror. In fact, the history of modern terrorism can be linked up with the advent of modern media. So terrorists, they use the newspaper, they use televisions, and now social media is ubiquitous. It's a huge part of our media world. And so it's entirely unsurprising that terrorists today would try to exploit the media of today. What exactly social media companies should do is actually rather complicated. It's more complicated than many people think. What most analysts would say to your question is that because terrorists use social media, they should deprive terrorists of the social media. We should shut down their accounts. We should shut down the violent imagery that they broadcast over social media. But I actually think it's a little bit more complicated than that. The truth is that just because terrorists want something to happen, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's advantageous for them. So for example, terrorists like to broadcast their violent deeds, but oftentimes that violence is counterproductive for the perpetrators. So what we saw today, for example, was all over the world, people of all sorts of different political stripes united against this perpetrator because the violence was so reprehensible to them. This is true even of people on the political right. They found the violence abhorrent, the shooting up of innocent Muslims just praying. And so I'm actually not that keen on media blackouts in order to deprive people of seeing how ghastly these perpetrators are. What worries me more is when the perpetrators broadcast over social media their political manifestos, because oftentimes their political manifestos are more popular than the violent acts that they commit. There are many, many more people in the world who are sympathetic to this guy's political preferences than the tactics that he used. And so what social media really needs to do is make sure that the terrorists come across as ghastly as possible. And that actually means broadcasting the violence, but not putting the perpetrator on a pedestal and not sharing an ideology that has the potential to resonate with a much broader number of viewers around the world.
Professor Max Abrahms, thank you so much for joining us from Boston.